What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 of the Winning with Nick podcast. In today's episode, I'll be speaking on embracing being you. Let's start the show. Alright guys, so you might be wondering, if my goal is to become a winner, if my goal is to develop my winning mentality, develop physical fitness, develop a diet, develop skills with money to enhance my passive and active income, how can I stay true to myself? Well, something I would like to get across to you, the listener, is this. When you are bettering yourself, you aren't necessarily changing who you are at the core. Now, what I mean by that is, sorry, give me 1 second. There we go. What I mean by that is you are adding to who you already are, and you are only subtracting the negative aspects of yourself. So if you are a lazy individual, when you embrace being yourself, you're not embracing being lazy. Laziness is not desirable in any form. So you would want to eradicate that from your personality. If you eat way too much, you overeat, you want to eradicate that bad habit. That is not a value that you have. That is not a characteristic of you. That's just a bad habit. So when it comes to embracing being who you are, that means the things that someone would call you weird for. When I think of characteristics, I think of them as building blocks or like Legos, pieces of who you are that when put together make you. Some examples of this. You may be an anime fan. So someone who would call you weird for watching anime, who cares about that? Literally last episode, I was telling you guys about not consuming yourself with what people think about you. If you love anime, you love anime. That's part of who you are. It's something you love. It doesn't make you any less of a winner because you like anime. If you love sports, you know every single player's stats. You know every single player's jersey numbers. Someone would call you number obsessed, a fanatic, things of that nature. It doesn't matter. Do not consume what other people say about you. I don't know how many ways I can say that or how many languages you guys want me to say that in until you can get it through your head. What other people have to say about you does not matter. It doesn't matter. Embrace being yourself. Be you. There is only one you. Only you can be that. If you're so busy trying to be other people, if you're so consumed with trying to make yourself someone that other people like, you will always fail. Because let's just be honest. Not everybody you meet is going to like you. The majority of people you meet won't like you. And you trying to change yourself so they will like you won't work. So if you have these quirks about yourself, if you have these things that make you weird, not socially acceptable, who gives a damn? That's who you are. Embrace that. So I use the example of being a huge sports fan or being an anime fan. If you like video games, now with the whole video games thing, don't let that consume you either. I would do something like that within reason. You don't want to be consumed by a virtual world that has little to nothing to do with the real world. You want to live in reality. Video games are not reality. But just these things, these special characteristics that make you who you are, embrace those things. Why would you want to conform to what society sees as normal just to fit in? The more you fit in, the less unique you are. The less unique you are, this is my opinion, the less of a winner you are. Because if we all fit the same mold, there is nothing separating us from each other. I believe differences, these special characteristics that each and every one of us has, are what make us special. They're what make us who we are. That's what creates our sense of identity. And when you don't have a sense of identity, you can't win. I always speak about winning in life, winning mindset, winning mentality. Every winner is different. To keep it channel related, I often talk about Kobe Bryant. So you could group Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan into the same categories of winners. The Mamba mentality, they're driven, the assassin mentality, they're going to just destroy you on the court. But LeBron James is also a winner. He has 4 rings. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, also a winner, 5 rings. Magic Johnson, also a winner. Now, the coolest thing, if you break this down, they all won in different ways. Think Magic Johnson, 6'9" point guard, one of the greatest distributors of the basketball ever, if not the greatest. He was a facilitator, but he could also be a dangerous scorer. That was his game. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all-time leading scorer, could kill you with that hook shot. LeBron James, a physical freak of nature. He could drive to the lane, dunk on you, dish it out to the open man in the corner, pull up for a mid-range, all of those things. Well, not so much the mid-range. The mid-range isn't really his game. It's more deep threes, dunks, layups, that kind of thing. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, their games are really similar. That pull-up mid-range, the shimmy, fade away, the crazy wild dunks, coming down the lane, dunking on somebody, taking that ball to the rack. But the thing that I want you guys to notice, they're all regarded as all-time greats, but they didn't do it the same way. Kobe patterned his game after Michael Jordan when he first came into the NBA, but he evolved into his own basketball entity. So I want you guys to take that as winners, aspiring winners, and think of all the people who have won at life who are currently winners. You don't want to become a molded version of them. You don't want to become a cookie cutter version of somebody you idolize. What I advise you to do is to pick certain aspects of the individual and think, how can I take certain aspects of someone who I aspire to be like, or I wish to emulate certain characteristics, and apply them to me while still being unique? So if you're listening to me for a source of inspiration, you don't want to be just like Nick. You just want to take bits and pieces of advice that I can give to better you as an individual. You don't want to be me. That's not what this is about. When I talk about being a winner, I don't talk about being like me. Everyone is different. Winning in your life looks different than winning in my life. Winning looks different for different people. That's why I titled this episode Embrace Being You. People's situations will always be different. No two people are the same. And rather than being insecure about your differences or being consumed about what other people think about your quirks, your differences, I believe you should embrace them like a superpower. Think, I love anime. That makes me unique. I love to play RPG video games. For you guys who don't know what that is, role-playing games like your action RPGs, Skyrim, Fallout 4, your older ones like Dungeons and Dragons, things like that. That's cool. That gives me a sense of creativity unlike many other people. If you like to watch sports and you're a huge fan, you like to see the stats at the end of the game. You like to break down those stats to other people. You like to, have all the posters in your room. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're a bookworm, if you love to read books, there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of knowledge to be acquired through reading. As a matter of fact, I recommend you become a bookworm if you're not one. Rather than having your face in Facebook, why don't you put your face in an actual book and get some knowledge for yourself? This episode, I really just wanted to get it across how important it is to be yourself. Me personally, growing up, I've spoken to you guys a lot this episode, but I just want to give you guys a little insight about me. One of the things I've dealt with up and coming was not fitting in school. I was a black kid who went to school in like for the most part, white elementary school, junior high. But the thing is, the way my parents raised me was a little bit different than the kids I went to school with. So when it came to the white kids at school, I couldn't really relate to them because they just came from a different background than me. But then when it also came to the black kids at school, they came from a different setting than me as well, so I couldn't really relate to them. So all that to say, for the most part, everyone who I came in contact with had more differences than similarities with me. So all throughout grade school, kindergarten, K through 12, I never really found a group of individuals that I fit in with. I played football, so I had that in common with my teammates, but our lives outside of sports didn't really mesh. Again, because we had these different backgrounds, we had these just differences. You know, I come from a family, I said a black family. My parents raised me to, you know, have manners, to speak properly, to dress properly, to wear a belt when I go outside so I'm not sagging, things of that nature. So when I encounter another individual whose parents didn't raise them with those qualities, there's that difference in background. So there's not a whole lot that we can relate to each other with. Now, that doesn't make me or the other person any better. It just means that we have differences. It makes us unique from each other. So, as a person who's dealt with having so many differences from other people their whole life, and now having this perspective of which my differences made me unique, my differences make me who I am today, someone I can be proud to be, I am encouraging you from my own experiences. Don't conform to what is socially normal. Don't conform to what your so-called friends want you to be. If you don't cuss, if you don't smoke, if you don't drink, that is awesome. Be you. Don't give in to peer pressure because someone says you're not cool if you don't smoke, drink, or party and all that stuff. Just, if that's not you, that's not you. Don't try to be something or someone you're not. I'm getting into like a little bit of a rant here. So let me just calm down and center things back around what this episode is about. The importance of embracing being you, the person listening to this episode. Be yourself. But when you hear that, do not use that as an excuse to stay the same. There's a difference between being yourself and staying the same. If you go back a few episodes, I said there's no such thing as staying the same. You either get better or you get worse. You cannot stay level. You cannot stay like a plateau. You either go up to a peak or you go down to a trough, I believe. But that's not the same as embracing being yourself. To be yourself is to be different from others. Our differences make us stronger. If you put 10 of the exact same person in one room, you get 10 of the exact same opinions, 10 of the exact same backgrounds, meaning there are no differences, so there is no point of conversation. There is nothing to build on. But if you put 10 people from different backgrounds, there's all kinds of conversations to be had. Hey, I grew up in the hood. Hey, I grew up in, what am I trying to say? I grew up in a middle class family. Hey, I grew up in a elite family, in the one percenters. So those people all come from very different backgrounds. So they'll have a lot of different values and experience to add to each other to create a group of individuals striving to be better because their backgrounds are different and they can each contribute something different to that group of individuals trying to be successful. So all of that, I've kind of calmed down and just gotten back to the centerpiece of today's episode, embracing being yourself. I want to leave you with this message. In your daily life, I want you to dare to be different. Don't strive to be like your peers. I dare you to embrace your differences. As a matter of fact, I challenge you to embrace your differences. If you wear your hair a certain way, if you like wearing certain colors, if you don't smoke, you don't drink, if you like to watch anime, it doesn't matter. It's something that makes you different, not like other people. I challenge you to embrace your differences along your journey towards success. It will only separate you from average and below average individuals. Do not be a cookie cutter version of one of your role models. You're not going to be, for me, somebody who I idolize, Kobe Bryant, David Goggins, my parents. You've seen the progressive commercials about becoming your parents. You don't want to become your parents. For me, I don't want to become Kobe Bryant or David Goggins. I want to take different things, different aspects that I believe will make me more of a winner. And then I want to emulate certain characteristics, not the individual, but a characteristic, and add that to me to build myself up more on my journey to becoming a winner. I challenge you to be different from those around you. Take characteristics from the people you idolize and use them as building blocks to add to yourself to build yourself up. Do not become your idols, but emulate those characteristics you believe can benefit you. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's podcast. If you like what you've heard, you can find me on YouTube under Winning with Nick. You can find me on podcast streaming platforms, Spotify, Anchor, several others. Just Google or search the Winning with Nick podcast. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you heard something that encouraged you to embrace being yourself, to dare to be different, to not strive to be your role models, but to be better than your role models. Thank you guys for your time. And on that note, I'm out.